We just had some news in tonight. This is unbelievable. Well, it's believable, isn't it? The Tamworth Regional Council has voted to suspend the annual Country Music Festival. Tamworth Music Festival, an institution, for late January next year. And, of course, in the light of the conversations I've had and the correspondence I'm reading, don't blame the council. I'm not too sure how much longer people can go on with this rubbish because we're being led by the nose. But I'm simply saying in relation to Tamworth, they're saying under the rules that Berejiklian has in place in New South Wales, we can't conduct a music festival. There you are. Don't talk about lockdowns. They're everywhere. We're being led by the nose. Politicians who've never employed anyone, never filled out a payroll tax slip. They know everything and they won't listen. Big business in Victoria have said, well, it's obvious these lockdown politics will kill the golden goose of the state economy and small and medium enterprises will collapse. It's already happening. The government says it consults, but I'm speaking to business people all the time and all they get from premiers are lectures. They're all the same. Daniel Andrews says he's consulted, but then does the opposite of what is being suggested. Gladys Berejiklian waves fingers at business people and they say they're being treated as though kids in a classroom. And Anastasia Palaszczuk, she drags in the incompetent Jeanette Young, who then gives lectures to people. I spoke to business today, as I said earlier, several of them for hours, and that was in the hospitality area, highlighting government's ridiculous contradictions. These are people who've said to the New South Wales government, well, look, if our venue were to open, we would take temperatures of everybody, we would take their address, we'd take their phone number, we'd have the full guest list, and it'd all be there. Now, what else do you want? No, not good enough. If you're a venue, you're going to have 150 people, even though the venue might be 3,000 square metres. Oh, but you must observe the 4 square metre rule. Well, last time I divided 3,000 by 4, I got 750. No. You can only have 150. But if you're a hotel, well, you can have 500. 300 per room, 10 per group. Who makes up these numbers? I got no idea. If you're a function centre, forget it. But, of course, out of town doesn't matter. One businessman told me today, in tears, he had 117 weddings postponed. I'd like to ask some of these politicians how they expect these people to live. How do they handle the mental health consequences and the legitimate and understandable abuse from clients? Then we're told if any end-of-year formals are on in New South Wales, but there'll be more freedom than events like weddings. Remember, at a wedding, you can't kiss, you can't stand up, you can't dance, you can't sing. Have you ever heard in the history of humanity such stupidity? So the school formals will go ahead in term 4, but hang on, the chief health officer, she won't tell us what the rules are. What does she say? Formals pose less risk than weddings. Where's the evidence of this? None. The woman's just making it up. No evidence to support any of this. Just make it up and punish people. Wes Lambert is the Chief Executive of Restaurant and Catering. Wes, good evening to you. I understand exactly the predicament you're in. Do these politicians understand the predicament that you people face?
Well, good evening, Alan. And I would like to tell you, you asked a question earlier on, who's going to lead us out of this? Well, Restaurant and Catering Australia is going to lead our industry out of this. No, we don't believe that the politicians always understand exactly what the effect is of their decisions on subsectors of the industry, including the function and events industry. It is definitely devastated with the decisions not to...
But how many of these politicians talk to you, for example? How many politicians have you spoken to?
I've lost count. We certainly speak to many politicians on a daily basis. And what we find is that we're often listened to. And then when it comes to action, it just doesn't happen.
Andrews has been described as stubborn and won't listen to ideas from business. Berejiklian talks to business, waves a finger at them and gives them lectures. Anastasia Palaszczuk is a ventriloquial doll. She'll only utter what the incompetent Jeanette Young says. All these figures, you can have 300 here and 150 there. Who makes these figures up and where is the evidence put on the table that justifies them?
Look, ultimately, we have not been provided with specific health evidence for any of the numbers. It goes back to, let's say, the wedding that occurred months and months ago before we really knew anything about COVID-19 and how to track and trace. And then everyone says weddings are the riskiest of function and events. However, all of the large wedding venues around New South Wales, around Australia, they are prepared, they are ready to follow the most strict COVID-19, COVID-safe rules.
Yes,
they're willing to track and trace, keep lists of everyone, masks on front of house staff.
Absolutely.
absolutely ready to do the right thing.
Look, I've talked to them. You see, one thing I want to ask you, if, for example, and I don't know what the number might be, but if 117 weddings have had to be cancelled, and if a venue that can hold 3,000 can only hold 150, those venues have been all serving food and grog and drinks and whatever. What are the loss to the people who produce the raw materials, the people who put the food on the plate? There's no market for them. Weddings are florists, weddings are hire cars. What are happening to all these associated service industries that seem are going to the wall?
Look, the function and event catering industry is a $3.3 billion industry in Australia. And in New South Wales, it's 40% of that. It's over $1 billion. That's just for the function centres. On top of that is wedding dresses, engagement rings, wedding rings, flowers, limos, photographers, all of the suppliers of those businesses, the food and beverage that would be served at weddings, that would be served at graduations, that would be served at corporate and business events, and even political functions, all cancelled, all red-X'd.
OK, well, now listen, all of these people, everyone's got a mortgage out there. How do you pay a mortgage when there's no income? How much longer, under this draconian totalitarian behaviour, how much longer can your people survive?
Look, all we're asking for is a start to be the same as restaurants, hotels, clubs, to get up to 300 at least, to start the discussion to 300.
I'm not asking for that. I'm saying open the economy up and let us look after our health. That's what I'm saying. Stop the lockdowns. And if you can't do that, provide the evidence. Wes, good to talk to you. Keep in touch. Good luck. I understand exactly what your men and women are about. Thank you for what you do.
Thanks, Alan.
There he is. That's Wes Lambert from Restaurant and Catering. It's diabolical.